Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the dining room table studio. I'm your man out of Japan, Jay Contra, and I want to go over all of my PS4 physical games. One, because I need to know if these actually have the discs in them or not, and I just want to show off some really cool games. Starting with Death Stranding, I think I've played most of these games. I've played all of my Switch games, but the PS4, Death Stranding, I think might be my favorite PS4 game. I was shocked at how much I ended up liking this game. I think my favorite part was, weirdly enough, just building the roads. Like, you're supposed to be rebuilding a collapsed American society, and my favorite part was just building the roads, collecting all of the items. Oh, here's some codes, by the way. I don't think I've used any of these. I bought this used, by the way, in Tokyo at Traders. It's like a postcard, and it's definitely something. So I don't know if those codes have been used or not. I'm not really one for digital content. Not for sale. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be worth that much anyways. Death Stranding, highly recommended if you haven't played it already. Kingdom Hearts is, I don't know if I'd recommend it if you haven't played Kingdom Hearts before. I definitely would say that you should play it if you're into the series and you haven't played it yet. I mean, it's the price, it can't be that expensive. I actually bought I am such a weeb that I purchased the Kingdom Hearts 3 PlayStation 4 Pro. So I've got the beautiful black PS4 with all the keyblades and the Disney symbols on it. And do I regret it? No, I just wish I'd waited a few weeks, because then I could have bought it for like $50 cheaper, because the price, Kingdom Hearts started out as like a $70 game in Japan, and then it quickly became like a $20 game just because there were so many copies of it. But it's a good game. It's a good game. I definitely got my value out of it. I played it in the Japanese. I didn't understand half of what was going on, but that's because how could you possibly understand what is happening in a Kingdom Hearts? Especially if you're like me, I'm very much a Kingdom Hearts snob, and I do not count the mobile games, or the portable games, I should say, as real Kingdom Hearts games. I've only played 1 through 3, and that means that I don't know what's going on. There's like villains in here that I've never seen before, and I just don't get it. Here's Bloodborne. This is the special edition that I bought only because it was on sale at Gayo for like $3. So I figured, why not pick up Bloodborne? Even if I only put a few hours into it, I can at least have some fun with it. I found it to be very difficult, but a much faster Souls game. So that's really what I was looking for. I'm not the biggest fan of the Souls series. However, I did think that Bloodborne, because it was fast, because it was quicker, and the sort of like the Victorian setting, I think was much more appealing to my personal taste. We also see the art book. I don't want to open it up, because if it's too violent, then YouTube will ban me. But you can also, yeah, there you go. Well, you can see some, like a bat pig. I don't know what that is. Okay. All right, let's put Bloodborne away and then get to Monster Hunter World. So at the place I used to work at, there were a lot of people there who loved Monster Hunter. So I ended up picking up this copy for the PS4. I just don't get Monster Hunter. I don't get how the fighting works. I have played it for a couple of hours, and I know people in the comments are going to crucify me, but I just did not like Monster Hunter all that much. It was okay. Look, I don't think it's a bad game. If you like Monster Hunter, more power to you. It's just not for me. The controls didn't make any sense to me. The stat system was too complicated. I was like fighting this like salamander or something in the beginning, and I was fighting it for like 40 minutes, and I still hadn't killed it, and I'm like, am I doing it wrong, or is that just what you're supposed to do in Monster Hunter? I wasn't sure, and I just felt really confused by the game. Final Fantasy 15 is the first ever Final Fantasy that I actually cleared in Japanese, so I have very fond memories of this game, and it's not my favorite Final Fantasy. It was a good Final Fantasy. My favorite's probably Final Fantasy 4. The cinematics and the graphics, I think it probably does have the coolest final boss sequence of a Final Fantasy game that I've played so far. And if you haven't played it yet, I mean, it's super cheap now. So, I mean, it's like, what, $3 probably? There's a special. All of these games, I don't think I've bought aside from Kingdom Hearts, I don't know if I've ever bought a PS4 game new, actually. What even is this? What is this? I think I just like opening up the inserts. Thank you for your support. Oh, this must be part of all of the people. Owen, arigato. All the people who worked on the game. Because this game, remember, this game took like, what, 10 years to make? The story behind Final Fantasy 15, because it started out as like, what, Versus 13? Oh, and reversible artwork. Look at that. Yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of history behind Final Fantasy 15, and I'm amazed that they had announced Final Fantasy 16 as early as they did, because I don't know if we're going to see that till 2030, but who knows. Oh, actually, speaking of games that I bought new and Final Fantasy, I actually have my original PS4 was the Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, that beautiful crimson red. So that's how I ended up getting this game. I didn't clear it. I think it's a bit too grindy for my tastes, and the story is a bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. However, I do think it's a beautiful disc. The game, being an upscale or sort of remaster of a PSP game, it's really impressive what they did. But boy, does some of that gameplay limitation show when you're actually doing it. Although I've heard people say good things about Final Fantasy Type 0, and it was cool for like 5 hours, and then I had to give up. Especially because they ended up, whenever I try uploading footage of it, for some reason the Bump of Chicken song keeps getting tagged by the copyright people over at YouTube. Raiden 5, haven't played this yet, picked it up as I was leaving Japan. Really want to sink my teeth into it because Raiden is an amazing series. I was waiting to get Raiden for like the Xbox or something, and I was happy to see when they announced it for, I think it came out on the Switch also, but also, obviously, for the PlayStation 4. And no manual, no inserts, no anything. But you're just buying it because you want vertically scrolling shooting. So Raiden 5, looking forward to it. Speaking of things with 5 as a V, Roman numeral V, we've got Metal Gear Solid V. Don't know, is that a 10 in Roman? I don't know. But the Phantom Pain, which I've played in English and is my favorite Metal Gear. I love the Metal Gear series, and they went out on a high note. We're probably never going to see another Metal Gear Solid game ever again, which is really unfortunate. But at least we've got 5 console games. We've got Peace Walker as well. I think that's enough for a series, so that even if they don't make another one, it's like, it's at the worst. Hold on, let's see what. Let's see. I don't appreciate. That's why. Half the reason why I do these videos is because I want to appreciate the artwork. Because usually when I pick up the game, I'm like, just throw the disc into the system, install, and then actually playing the game. Metal Gear Online. Remember when they tried to make that a thing? Isn't there like a zombie Metal Gear? But then now it's worth like $3. And then the demo disc, I guess you could say, of Metal Gear Solid 5. It is Ground Zeroes, a game that people would pay like $40 for and get 2 hours of gameplay out of. I never actually played Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes yet. Even though I played 5 before, I just didn't buy Ground Zero just because I heard that it's like, okay, why spend so much on this? And then I think the definitive version that they came out with has all of the DLC as well as Ground Zeroes included. So if you don't have Metal Gear Solid 5 yet, I think you want to get the definitive version, or like the Game of the Year edition, whatever they called it. Persona 5. Oh yes, I did actually buy this new because this is sort of what led me to doing YouTube on a regular basis, was doing the first ever English translation. I have the Japanese version. I bought it. I actually got it the night before because the game shop in the town I used to live in, basically was selling the game as they shipped in. So I ended up picking it up and playing it and having so much fun translating the game before anybody else was doing it. And that's back actually when if you think my Japanese is bad now, oh boy, was it bad back when I was actually playing this game. And it helped me understand Japanese to a much better level, and may actually have helped me get the job I did after I was an English teacher. And so I can thank Persona 5. I've thought about getting Royal, but then I keep thinking about how I would have to spend another 120 hours to actually beat the next game. And it's like, I can wait the 10 years for Persona 6 whenever that actually comes out. Next up, we've got Darius Burst Chronicle Saviors, and my hot take, the hot fire that I'm spitting for this video, is that I'm not a big fan of the Darius series. I love scrolling shooters, and Darius has a long history to it, but I just don't like the enemy designs. I don't like the game system. And the thing about Darius Burst CS is that it's just like more of the same Darius. I know I'm crazy. Please leave me a comment if you think differently and why you like Darius, but I cannot get into the game. Another scrolling shooter is Sisters Royale, which I don't know if they've localized in English yet. However, this was, I think, sort of recently-ish released when I was leaving Japan. So I picked it up at like Mandarake for like $30. Because Mandarake, actually, you may know it as selling some of the most expensive retro games ever. But they also have a modern section where you can get some good deals on stuff that people have traded in. And I really want to play Sisters Royale. And so I will definitely get to that. What I would not go back to is The Order 1886. A crazy game that they thought was going to turn into a massive franchise. And it's like vampires in steampunk Victorian Britain. I don't know how they came up with that idea, but someone thought it would be good. And it's not a terrible game, but it's 3D over the shoulder shooting, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't, it's not captivating. The lore to it is interesting. The story could, I think, have been fleshed out a bit more, but overall, I'm not the biggest fan of The Order 1886. I am somewhat a fan of Nier Automata. It is an okay game, and I know people love this game and the Nier series on the whole. I really want to play the remake of the Nier that came out for the PS3. However, I am not the biggest fan of the fact that you have to play this game like 4 times in order to appreciate the story. I know the problem is that I'm stuck in the second playthrough and you're just doing all the stuff you did in the first playthrough again, so you can get to the third playthrough, which is apparently a whole new game. But then why not just make that third playthrough the second game and have to go through the first game the second time? It just drives me nuts. It's like Endless 8 for Haruhi Suzumiya. Why would you make me play the same thing again? I know it's from a different perspective, but okay, all right, I can't rant about this game that much. And then stickers. Hey, at least you get stickers if you buy the physical copy. Oh, this is the Game of the Yorha edition, by the way. This is not the base edition. So I don't know if these inserts are unique to the game or not. There's a point card if you want it. I did buy this used, of course. Oh, yes. Let's see. Yeah, let's get I don't know how this game got here. This fell off the back of a truck. But I'm not going to throw away a game, so we'll just put that aside. Here we've got Ikenie Toyuki no Setsuna. What do they call it? Like I Am Setsuna, but in the Japanese, it's like Setsuna, like the snow and the sacrifice of Setsuna, Setsuna, snow and sacrifice. It was an interesting game. It was really, I think, revolutionary in the way that Square develops its games, where it's like, okay, we're basically just going to make a sort of ripoff of Chrono Trigger, which, hey, there's definitely worse games you could rip off, especially when you're Square, and that's the one you made like 20 years ago. But the story was interesting. It's just a little RPG that is very Chrono Trigger-y in both. You can kind of see from the screenshots here that you can like go around. You don't really move around, but you can interact with your other party members by using special attacks. It's a pretty basic RPG, but it's got a really interesting story to it. And I think it's worth playing if you just love RPGs in any way. I think it is worth the play with, graphics that's got little stick feet that really aren't, it's not the most graphically intensive game, but it's a fine game. So, this is my complete collection of physical PS4 games that I bought in Japan. I hope you've seen something that you like. And if I have said something that burns your blood in terms of my opinion, please leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you thought about any of these games. I have been your man out of Japan, Jay Contra. If you'd like to support the channel, you can head over to patreon.com/JayContra, where you will get access to exclusive polls that determine the future of the channel, as well as patron-only game hunting videos from shops in Japan. Thanks for watching, and mahalo.